Be happy, play drums.
Okay.
How to develop flow on drums? Question mark.
Okay. So
I'm assuming, how do you develop flow on the
Sure.
drums?
So, okay, we got to talk a little bit about this question because when we say flow, what does it look like to see someone flow around the kit? Well, to play freely, right? That's what you're talking about. So it would be a mixture of maybe chops and groove and using different dynamics and textures and patterns, different groupings, playing around with phrasing, like all of that stuff in one. And when you get that many skill sets lined up and when you just call it flow, well, what you're really asking is like, how do I play the drums, right? That's how I look at that question. Like, how do I flow around the drums? Like, you mean like, how do you talk freely using all of the available tools and textures to express yourself musically? Like, okay, you're just asking like, how do I play the drums however I want to play them? So it's by all means, it's an extremely loaded question with no single answer that I could give you that would actually answer that question. And I understand that people see drum sheds or Instagram choppers or, whatever type of playing they see, and it leads you to ask that question. How do I do that? Well, what you're seeing is just this rhythmic expression that contains everything that you need to know. Not everything, but it contains this massive list of skill sets that you would need to learn and acquire in order to do that same sort of thing. So how to develop flow? Man, you would have to start from the ground up. And I don't want to make this where like I'm just telling you what it is to play the drums, but first and foremost, you would have to have a really full understanding of subdivisions. So the rhythmic scale, like the rhythmic grid, starting from whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, eighth note triplets, 16th notes, quintuplets, sextuplets, septuplets, 32nd notes, and then higher if you care to go any higher. You got to get all of those down. Then you have to have an arsenal of patterns, which would be your words. Then you have to know how to organize those patterns or organize those words into making sentences. And then your sentences have to connect together to make longer statements, which would be like paragraphs. And that would be something like a 4-bar drum solo, right? And within there are all of the other textures and dynamics and all these other little skill sets that you would use to make that expression your own. So when we say developing flow, again, it's kind of synonymous with saying like, how do I play the drums? It's a lot of shit. There's a whole lot of shit that's packed into that word flow. But first and foremost, to address exactly what you mean by flow, like freely moving around, I think it's going to come down to subdivisions. That's the biggest barrier that I think a lot of people face. It's not that you don't have enough patterns. It's not that you don't have enough rudiments. It's not that you're not fast enough. More than likely, it's like a comfort level within subdivisions and understanding how the rhythmic grid can carry you from one measure to the next. And then it's a matter of getting all of the words and tools and textures to express yourself within those measures as they pass. And this could, to go from somebody who like cannot flow on the drums, who can flow freely, that could be 10 years, right? Like, so it's a very, very loaded question. It's almost synonymous with asking like, how do I build an engine? Like, whoa, okay, there's no single thing I could just tell you that will let you go build an engine. Like, we got to start with the concept of combustion, and then we have to go into like, what does a valve do? And like, there's so many things. So I think a lot of times people ask that, they're just not entirely sure what it is that they're asking and how oversimplified a question like that is. But I think, again, the biggest barrier to entry, the thing that people are missing that would bring them the closest to, like, no pun intended, but like a flow state would probably be subdivisions. That would be the biggest thing. There are 4 or 5 hours of subdivision masterclasses on orlandodrummer.com, which take you through all of the subdivisions and how to count them, how to vocalize them out loud, patterns that you can play to get used to them. And then, of course, there's many exercises that have you jump from one subdivision to another, because in theory, you should be able to swim throughout this mathematical grid. So going from 8th notes to 16th notes to 16th note triplets to 32nd notes, you should comfortably be able to bounce between those. And that's a thing you'll commonly see when you see somebody like flowing around the kit, right? That comfort level with subdivisions. So, sorry, loaded answer, but it's a very loaded question. So hopefully that makes sense. Thank you for watching this clip. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're looking to in any way make yourself a better drummer online, which let's be honest, you probably are, that's why you click this video, make sure to click the link in the description or the link that's around here somewhere. Free 7-day trial to my online drum school. You'll find 160 hours of drum lessons there and one of the world's largest collections of drumless play-alongs. Trust me, you will find something you love, and I would love to have you on board. OrlandoDrummer.com. I will see you there.